Hi, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we are talking about shadow work. Hello, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Abby. I am a spiritual intuitive, and in this video, we are talking about what shadow work is, how to face your triggers, and how to heal your inner self. Have you ever overreacted to something small and then wondered why it bothered you so much? That flare-up, that trigger is usually your shadow showing itself. In this video, I am breaking down what shadow work is, why it matters, and how you can start facing your triggers in a way that leads to real healing. All right, so let's start with what the shadow is. The shadow is a concept from Swiss psychiatrist and psychologist Carl Jung. It is all of the parts of ourselves that we deny, repress, and hide. Maybe as a kid, you were told it wasn't okay to be angry, too confident, sensitive, or even joyful. Instead of working with those emotions, you buried them. They didn't disappear, they went underground. That is your shadow, the hidden or rejected parts of yourself. Shadow work is the practice of meeting those hidden parts of yourself with awareness. The goal isn't to erase or fix them. It's to bring them to the light so they stop running your life unconsciously. When you do this work, you shift from reacting on autopilot to responding with clarity and choice. Avoiding your shadow doesn't make it go away. It shows up in cycles, fears, relationships, and self-talk. Now let's talk about how to do shadow work. Number one is to notice your triggers. Pay attention to what gets under your skin. Triggers are usually mirrors that are pointing back to the unhealed parts of yourself. Here's the important thing about that. You have to be real with yourself about your triggers. People often have a hard time recognizing that they are triggered because that would mean that something might be up with them. And it doesn't mean that something is wrong with you, but it does mean that there's something that you should look at, right? So for example, someone might feel envy, but they might have a hard time recognizing that envy. So rather than looking at it, they will project onto the other person and maybe vilify them. Being able to recognize when there's something that's coming from yourself and that you might be wrong is key. But that takes time, that takes courage, and it takes work. The next thing is to reflect or journal. Once you recognize a trigger, ask yourself, when did I first feel this? What is the root of this emotion or feeling? Number three is to show compassion. Instead of fighting your shadow, acknowledge it. Remember that most shadow traits formed to protect you at some point. The next thing is to dialogue with your shadow. Try writing a letter to it. Ask, what are you afraid of? What do you need from me? This helps build understanding. Number five is to integrate and re-channel. Integration doesn't mean indulging your shadow or allowing it to drive your actions. It means finding a healthy way to use the energy underneath it. For example, you can channel anger through boundaries, clarity, justice, or envy through motivation and self-honesty. You can channel shame through humility and vulnerability, fear through caution and awareness, and desire through passion and creativity. The idea is not to ignore or eliminate these traits. It's learning how to use their energy consciously. I think it's important to talk about what integration isn't because people tend to get this confused. Integration is not about accepting your shadow in a way that hurts someone else. It's not about acting out anger or control and calling it authentic. It isn't about being nice and letting people walk all over you. And it isn't about ignoring a person's needs or lacking empathy because, well, that's just my shadow. Integration means you recognize the shadow, you take responsibility for it, and channel that energy in a way that benefits rather than harms you or anyone else. When you integrate, you create a space between the feeling and the action. You stop letting your unconscious wounds drive your choices, and you start working with them as tools for growth. It's not about being perfect or all light. It's about being whole, accountable, and balanced. Shadow work is not about becoming endlessly positive. It's about being real. When shadow and light work together, you stop being at war with yourself. You show up more authentic, more grounded, and more powerful. Not because you fixed yourself, but because you embraced your full humanity. If you feel stuck in old patterns or find yourself being triggered often, this is the work that can shift everything. Notice your triggers, reflect honestly, meet your shadow with compassion, and integrate it responsibly. Your shadow isn't your enemy. It's the part of you that's waiting to be acknowledged, understood, and rechanneled into strength. So that concludes this video. I appreciate you for watching. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, share this video with a friend, like this video. Thanks again for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye.